iGlobenews brings global views.
Welcome to another edition of iGlobenews Pods. You can find all our podcasts on our YouTube channel and on our homepage, www.iglobenews.org. If you like what you hear, please do not forget to like and subscribe to our channel and sign up to our newsletter. Joining us from iGlobenews is Executive Editor, Advisory Board Member, and guest contributor, Dr. Francis Mautner-Markov. Dr. Mautner-Markov is also the Executive Director of the Austrian Center for International Studies, a nonprofit, non-governmental organization in Austria dedicated to developing new and more effective approaches to deal with the challenges of complex security, environmental, economic, and non-proliferation issues. The topic of today's podcast is ASEP, Austrian Seniors Expert Pool, a model for seniors in other professions and countries. ASEP is an independent pool of experienced entrepreneurs, executives, and experts who want to pass on their experience and know-how to the next generation. It has been around for over 30 years, and it offers members a large professional network, support, and opportunity to be active even after retirement. On your information brochure, you characterize the services you offer as mentoring, sparring, and coaching. Joining us today to discuss this are two experts from ASEP, Dr. Helga Linhart and Mr. Michael Klemen. Thank you, Helga and Michael, for joining us today.
Thank you, Diana.
Dr. Linhart.
Thank you, Diana, for inviting us and having us here today. My name is Helga Linhart, and my colleague's name is...
Yeah, hello. Thank you for having me as well. I'm Michael Klemen, and I'm pleased to join you.
Excellent. We're so glad to have you on our show today. So let me quickly start by a very brief introduction of each of you, and then we'll delve into the questions right away. So Helga, you have a PhD in linguistics and language teaching and language acquisition research, and you've published a number of articles on the topic of foreign language acquisition and advanced age. And you've given numerous workshops and lectures at universities from around the globe, also in a corporate setting. And you also focus on current language technique, methods, and approaches. Michael, you've studied economics and business at the University of Vienna and at the Harvard Business School. And you have more than 35 years of corporate management, marketing, sales, and business development experience. And you've worked on numerous continents, for instance, Europe, the Middle East, and South Africa, to name a few. So I'll start with our first question. ASEP is a pool of independent executives and experts in various fields, an international network providing management and project experience. How is ASEP organized? How many members does ASEP have? What are their backgrounds and average ages?
Diana, as you already said in your introduction, we are an independent pool of experienced entrepreneurs and managers and experts in different fields and industries. So our experts' backgrounds are quite manifold, both in terms of their professional expertise and in terms of the company structures they were part of. So that would be large-scale industries to medium-sized and small businesses. So when it comes to the perfect match for a particular client, we can choose from among a large number of experts. And of course, we always do our best to find the best possible partner. At present, we are about 180 or 190 experts, all of whom are equipped with unique skills and profound experience in their specific field. And the average age, I would say the average age of those who are actively involved in projects right now, I think that's a bit difficult to say, but a wild guess is 65, 70. What do you say, Michael?
Well, as Helga already mentioned, we have a very diverse pool of experts in numerous areas: industrial equipment, retail, banking, information technology. And depending on when they started to become part of ASEP, they are as we are senior experts, they are most likely somehow at the end of their professional career. So I wouldn't go for the absolute age itself, but I would say they have all 30 plus to 40 plus years of experience in these areas. Some of them are still quite active. For example, the former governor of the Austrian National Bank is part of our organization. The former CEO, CFO of British Petroleum, and. And depending on what the potential client asks for, we really try to match this regardless of an age. What is very important with ASEP is that all these members of our organization do have a very solid background and real great knowledge, experience, and for example, comparable to classical consulting organizations, our guys, especially also, of course, our ladies, have done this. They have delivered on that. And the question of age is, I would say, relative compared to the knowledge that we can offer.
So may I ask, in what countries, other countries, is ASEP active?
ASEP has been active or was active in many countries around the world. We had very close contact to China. However, as you all know, Corona has changed everything in the past, throughout the past 3 years. So our, let's say, our activities on the international podium has somehow almost come to a standstill regarding this thing. But of course, we are very positive and very eager to, or very much looking forward to the future when Corona is over and when we can go back to business again. So yes, we were, and we still are ready to be active on the international podium. But right now it's a bit difficult. Right now, our main field of activity is Austria.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can add a little to that. Of course, as we are all Austrians, our home territory, our home turf is more or less Austria. But we are also part of the international senior expert cooperation and organization. So we are trying to help bring our knowledge not only to Austrian companies, but also to companies abroad or wherever special knowledge is needed. Traditionally, of course, we focus on Austria, and we help especially young companies and startup companies to grow into an international environment, to go abroad, to go into export fields and things like that. So as we are based in Vienna, of course, we have a very strong traditional root here in Austria.
Well, maybe I can add a case in point here. Until 2019, everything was quite normal. And in 2019, we had a very interesting project in China, but unfortunately, it didn't work out due to Corona. And that was a project, it was actually me who was supposed to go there to the province of Shenyang, which is a province in the northeast of China, very close to the North Korean border. And I was supposed to assist in the preparation and development of an educational program there. In other words, I was supposed to assist a school to set up the structure, to set up everything for this school. But unfortunately, Corona put an end to this, and we will hopefully have a brighter future as regards this.
Do other countries have organizations similar to ASEP in Austria?
Well, in Europe, we have, I think, Michael, you already mentioned that there is an organization called CSIS. This acronym stands for Confederation of European Senior Experts. And CSIS has 17 members. And all these members, ASEP is one of these members, are spread all over Europe, and they are active in their own countries, like we are. So these are countries like Germany, Italy, France, Finland, whatever. So many, many more. And we are in regular contact with CSIS with the common goal to improve the quality of our performance and to open up opportunities for future generations, especially when it comes to the workplace situation and how we are going to cope with demographic change. And one very ambitious and promising current project on the European level that addresses this issue is, I already mentioned it before, this is a cross-national project subsidized by the European Union. And this project is called Erasmus Plus, or Keeping Employees on Board. Quite a nice name, I think, otherwise a nice topic. And ASEP is part of this ambitious project group. And at its core, this group addresses topics such as demographic change, the future of our working environment, the retirement systems, loss of know-how and knowledge transfer, very important things for the future, health issues, and also the appreciation of the elderly, and connected to this, also the support of the young generation.
Very important goals. So would you consider ASEP as a model for how pensioners can remain active in their fields and continue to contribute to society?
Absolutely. I think, in a world where we are getting older and healthier, hopefully, it is very important that we stay active. And we can't just like that stay active. We have to do something. We have to be proactive to be able to stay healthy and fit. So I think ASEP is a very good example, or shows us what we can do to contribute not only to our own well-being, but also to contribute to society. Because the fitter we are, the less we will be a burden for society. If we, when you're 88 and you are still, you walk every day and you do something, you learn every day, then you will not be a burden for the system, and you will have a better life altogether.
Yes, very well said. So could we consider that the ASEP activities and services are something like consulting services? You function as consultants and you receive payment for your services.
I would like to enhance this wording a little bit by it's not only consulting, I think it's a broader kind of activity, because it goes into coaching, it goes into mentoring, and in various areas that traditional consultants would not necessarily address. What is really important is that with the knowledge base that we have incorporated in our organization, we can offer a broad range of information, of knowledge, of understanding, of industry-specific information, so that we have a combination of various experts that can help, for example, a young enterprise or a startup company that is very much focused on a special technology or on a special process or on a special area. And when we find out that, For example, we have various young startups where we deliver specific knowledge in a certain area, but while we help them, we find out that they need something, for example, in financials, or they need something in controlling. We can bring in additional experts who help them building a bigger picture and building a bigger frame to what they want to do. And this is very well appreciated from these young startups, because they have a kind of in a consulting relationship, you always pay for your knowledge. In our relationship, it often goes more into a kind of a friendship, into a kind of a long-term relationship, which helps them to grow not only their business, but also grow their perspectives. And I think that is a fantastic thing that senior experts can bring to the table compared to consultants. And I know what I'm saying because I worked for some consulting companies quite some time, where they really go for the profit and say you have to sell as many hours as possible. This is not the target of ASEP. The target of ASEP is to really develop a relationship with these young companies and help them grow into their field of expertise, into their market, and develop relationships that enables them to become really a nice and successful company.
That's, of course, a broader and more important activity. Do ASEP members receive compensation for their services?
Yes and no. We are doing a couple of things that we do still pro bono, which is just when we find a very young company who is absolutely unable to pay something, we can do that. On the other side, we are forced or invited, of course, to generate some profit and some money for our organization. So yes, we get compensated, but at a far lower rate than the traditional consultants would charge. So it's a kind of a let's say engagement that is well defined and well tuned. Often these engagements are paid by, for example, organizations like the Wirtschaftskammer, or organizations that do a little bit of a sponsorship. So we are charging not that much money, and this helps, of course, these young companies to become more profitable or faster profitable, because they don't have to spend too much money on experts or on consulting services.
Very important.
And it's affordable for them, right, Michael? But if I may come in here, we, as you already mentioned, Michael, we already do volunteer. We also do volunteer service, and many of our colleagues have acted as tutors and advisors for adolescents or for school leavers, or as mentors for apprentices. And well, I remember last year, for instance, I was a volunteer in the field of English teaching, English training, and that was quite nice. That was English training for handicapped people who really couldn't afford to get this training in any other way. So yes, we are not our goal is not profit maximization, but our goal is responsibility and sustainability in terms of working environments and helping other people. So in a way, we give advice, we give ideas, we facilitate, and we ensure optimal realization and implementation of processes for our clients. And well, so in this way, our experts can really contribute a lot, because very often our senior experts, they can foresee potential problems or hidden dangers that young people may not be aware of. And this is really, really, really an asset we have.
Do you work with seniors who have had senior positions in the areas of science and technology, or do you focus more on project management in industrial sectors?
Yeah, I would say this really depends on who is, let's say, member of ASEP. Yeah, we have a lot of guys who have university backgrounds, good education, or experiences in various fields. It's not only management; it's also technical expertise. We, for example, had a project where we coached a spin-off of the technical university into real life. So depending on what is the necessity or what is the need of this young company or of this client, we try to pick the appropriate experts and on one side give them, let's say, as Helga already mentioned, help them to grow into the market, but also we have specialists in various areas in technology or in science to really help them evaluate what they propose and do some feedback on that, as well as help them to evaluate, is this something that the market may need, or is this something that is a crazy idea that might sit somewhere in an ivory tower and stay there?
It seems to me, from what I know, that when it comes to building breweries around the world, the expertise of Austrians and Germans is highly sought after. And you mentioned at the beginning something about this. Do you have activities regarding brewery experts who go out into the various countries and share their expertise with startup companies around the world who want to build breweries?
I mean, breweries is maybe one nice example. We have been asked to support a project in Bhutan where they want to build some breweries. As you already mentioned, there are a couple of entrepreneurs here in Austria who are really delivering excellent breweries, knowledge about how to build a brewery and things like that. Um, so if we have the appropriate knowledge and somebody talks to us about these things, we are more than happy to provide that. In this case, yes, we have obviously some specialists who can help us. We had other specialists in various other areas. For example, we had one young startup in Salzburg that wants to go into the international market with an excellent idea of supporting, how should I say that, supporting electricity and solar panels, which seems to be a very tricky market because it's widely owned by Chinese. But they had some new technologies, and we have some experts who help them make a product out of this idea, and now they are selling it quite successfully into the European community, into other European countries. So yes, if we have the appropriate know-how, we are more than happy to help. We also have various other examples, like for example in Carinthia, where the university has built this wonderful lakeside park environment, or the government of Carinthia has built the environment, but it's heavily supported by the University of Klagenfurt. In this lakeside park, there's an organization called Build, which supports young enterprises, startup enterprises to develop ideas, to develop products, and to build companies out of that. And there we are running a mentoring program where we have currently approximately 10, 15 young enterprises, not only Austrian, also some Italian, because due to the closeness of the border, where we develop or co-develop with these young entrepreneurs or with these startup guys some ideas, evaluate whether the idea is worth to progress, evaluate what is the going to market, develop business plans with them, try to help them find funding, and coach them until they really are a little company. And this is a very rewarding program because we really get the feedback from them that this is helping them enormously. Because, as Helga already mentioned, these young people often have a great idea, but then they run into a certain direction without realizing that there are some boundaries, that there are some heavy mistakes they might go into. And with the knowledge and the experience of our experts, we can guide them into a path that is not too rocky or not too heavy to swallow.
Hmm. There is a nice quote with this, and you may all know that the young ones are faster, but we, the older ones, we know the shortcut. I think that fits in here.
When you are dealing with clients, do you find that it's useful to them and to your message if you mention this widely admired Austrian dual system of apprenticeship and study? When we speak of younger clients, and the education system bringing up potential young entrepreneurs, is this something that is a plus in going forward with your activities? That Austria has this widely admired system for apprenticeship and study, enabling either to go in one or the other direction, or sometimes both.
Well, that's hard. That's hard to judge because yes, you are right. Our university and schooling system and so on is not bad at all. But meanwhile, other countries or other areas, even on the same level, maybe some areas are even better. Especially if you go into the United States, where certain areas are absolutely leading this environment. I don't mean the Silicon Valley alone, but there are other areas in Texas, there are other areas in other parts of the world where it's much easier to start a company. Nevertheless, the Austrian government and the local governments have somehow built great environments to foster these activities. One typical example is, for example, the city of Villach in Carinthia, where they have built a wonderful environment around this area of, how should I say, chip production, chip building, chip development, which is now the center not only for one big company, but also for a certain way how to approach new projects and how to approach new situations where you might generate a company or build a company to go into a bigger market.
So I think you've provided many very important examples of how ASEP is really providing a really important service to society, which is a win-win situation for both sides. Is it correct that ASEP members also pay into the pension fund as opposed to only getting a pension out of the pension fund?
No, not at the moment. I mean, of course, we are paying into that because it depends on how much money you get out of this project. Yeah, based on that, you have to have you have to pay your social security and your social insurance premiums. So that is something where you if you reach above a certain level, you have to contribute. But if you are below that, then it's more the idea of helping young enterprises or helping clients to develop something. And as Helga already mentioned earlier, the payment is not the big thing. So you won't get rich being a consultant in ASEP. It's more the contribution. And I like a statement here that I quite often say. I do a lot of golf. And I like to play golf very much, but I don't want that my knowledge dries up on the golf course. Yeah? So the idea is you need to do something where you keep your brain active, where you keep your knowledge up to date, and that is exactly where you can fit into that. And when I have clients, I often tell them, look, as soon as it's a rainy day, I'm ready to talk. Otherwise, don't interfere. Yeah? Uh, the point here is what is important for being member of ASEP is that you keep your knowledge up to date, that you keep being curious, looking into what is developing in your area of expertise, maybe in other areas of expertise, because you can bring other experts into projects and. And this is the important thing. As long as you are still in a professional environment and work between 9 to 5 or 9 to midnight, whatever it is, you are forced to do that. As soon as you retire and you sit at home and you start feeding doves, that's not the funny thing. Yeah? So you have to do something, and ASEP really helps you to get into that. So that's the benefit for a participant in ASEP. And it's not the money, and it's not that we are generating additional value for the pension fund or things like that. But we keep contributing and we share, and it keeps us healthy, and it helps to younger enterprises or young organizations to grow their knowledge.
Can I ask one last question in this regard regarding these younger organizations? In many countries, a lot of the startups are in what we would call the STEM or MINT areas. Do ASEP experts and activities support, among other things, studying and working in these areas?
Yes and no. I mean, I think the universities or the education system is putting quite some effort into getting students into these MINT areas. As soon as they come up with an idea or say, well, we want, honestly speaking, information technology is more important than ever. And what we learn or what we see on a daily basis is that hardly any new thing that is coming up can exist without the support of information technology. So yes, we are going in this direction, but we should not oversee or overlook that there are other areas that are similar important, like empathy, being connected to people, trying to deliver perfect services, which is a very personal thing. Yeah. So education on one side, yes, we offer as one of our projects. We offer, for example, special trainings. We work together with OSB in Austria, where we deliver trainings for sales, where we deliver trainings for technology, and. But the idea is to have a broader thing, not only focusing on MINT or STEM.
I just said you're right. It's part of the picture. It's not the whole picture.
You mentioned that you did have cooperations in China, and that COVID maybe put a damper on that. Are you planning to have any other projects in China? And would there be any other projects that you would like to highlight for our listeners that are especially important to ASEP's work, which could also show a good example of what you do?
Well, as I already said, right now the situation is a bit difficult, and especially in China, it's quite difficult. But of course, we will always stay alert. We will keep an eye on the development there. And we have 2 experts in our organization who are in charge of that, who are in charge of the connection to China. And they have had a year-long relationship with people and companies and institutions there. And so they will definitely keep an eye on that, and they will definitely do their best to revitalize this this cooperation that really worked well years ago. Yes, so we are quite positive that the future will bring that there will be a better future in this respect.
Any last projects you would like to mention to our listeners?
Yeah, maybe it's not China only. We have various other projects that are more in the European area. For example, we have a very interesting company from Upper Austria that is producing a software solution for the midwife market, which is very successful in Austria. And they wanted to grow, and we helped them to get into the German market. So that is very, very interesting because it really opened the market for them. And they approached us and said, okay, how could you help us? And this is one of my favorite projects, not only because I worked on that, but because it showcases how ASEP can help certain requests. I used to work for many software companies running European marketing and business development and global marketing and business development for quite huge companies in the software arena. And we decided, what can we do as a small Austrian company to grow into, for example, this German market? In Austria, we have approximately 500 midwives. In Germany, we have 18,000. So the point is, that was the market. Currently, we started a year ago. Currently, we have 1,800 in Germany under contract on a run rate of 30 to 50 midwives per week joining them. And that is exactly what this young company needs. Some ideas to get into the market, whom to approach, which more or less conferences to attend, which parties to attend, what to do. And I really like that because going from 0 to 1,800 is a huge thing. And the German market, meanwhile, woke up. There are 2 competitors who are really now scratching their head and say, well, what are these crazy Austrians doing here to, let's say, steal our market share? And we are not feeling that we steal our market share because their market share, because we have the far better solution. And that is the thing. Yeah. And this is also, and maybe this is a nice closing, this is something as a senior expert that you really like, that you see, hey, you contributed and you could deliver something that they would not have achieved alone, which gives you, again, the feedback that you are still active, that you are not only on the golf course, and that you keep mentally healthy and mentally alive. And this is exactly what the elder generation should try to do.
If I may add a nice quote here, this quote is by Jules Renard. He lived in the late 19th century, and he said, it's not how old we are, it's how we are old. And I think this is quite nice. You know, we all should keep that in mind. As Michael just said, we have to be active ourselves. It's all in our hands. And I think ASEP is an organization that is a good example for older people, people who are in retirement, who are really active, who do their best to contribute to this whole, let's say, to this whole wonderful universe.
Excellent, excellent idea. There should be more such activities. Well, thank you very much for this interview.
May I say a final statement? If you are, let's say, of a certain age and you are bored, don't be bored, try to join us. We are ready to accept new colleagues. We are happy to share what we do, and we are more than pleased if people approach us, because this is exactly what we are looking for. People who are not tired, people who are full of ideas, people who are curious, regardless of the age, because that's what society needs.
Yes. You're never too old to set a new goal or to dream a new dream. That's right.
Exactly. Thank you for these very important practical and philosophical ideas. Very important practical and philosophical follow-up on your proposal. So again, thank you very much for this interview, which is a unique contribution to iGlobenews. Diana, would you like to take it from here?
I too would like to thank Helga and Michael for joining me and Francis today for this very important interview. I think you have shown our listeners that there are many interesting models for people of all ages, including seniors, and society should take this to heart moving forward. For our listeners out there, thank you for tuning in to another edition of iGlobenews Pods. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to our channel, and we look forward to keeping in touch.